This is Patriots linebacker, Super Bowl 49 champ, Darius Fleming, and you're watching VonAllen Sports. Real and honest NFL analysis. Subscribe now. Join the empire. VonAllen Sports, let's go!
VonAllen Sports. VonAllen Sports.
This is the man with the most badass name in sports, the Pharaoh, the Egyptian god himself, Amon-Ra St. Brown. And on behalf of my man VonAllen, we want to thank you for your support. Let's fucking go.
VonAllen Sports.
Okay, what is up, guys? How y'all doing? We've got the Ravens and Dolphins. I didn't particularly choose this night because of this game. I'm gonna broadcast. I'm gonna do VAS live every Thursday night from now on. So it doesn't matter what game it is. But we have Lamar Jackson back with the Ravens. They are right. They've got 3rd and goal. They're right there. Looks like on the 2-yard line, trying to get into the end zone. And Jackson throws a random, erratic pass to nobody out of the back of the end zone. So these Ravens, they're just, I don't know, man. Nobody's afraid of the Ravens anymore. Nobody. So, all right, guys, this is great. We have 31 people. If you can hit that like button, and that'll get other people, and it'll send people on YouTube and recommend it to them and everything. We can get as many people as possible to sit here and talk football with us. We need some new blood, guys. We need some new people to challenge, and it'd be nice when we can get some Kansas City Queef fans. So, okay, they finally got in the end zone. They went for it on 4th down because nobody believes in field goals anymore. That's apparently a thing of the past. Maybe in another 10 years, we won't even have kickers anymore. So, who knows? But hey, look at that. We have Jason Patrick Saunders. You guys, of course, know Redcoat. If you don't recognize his name, that's called Explained Away. That's his new YouTube channel. He talks about anything and everything. Okay, so I'm talking any subject, nearly any subject. Most things, I'd say science and history and mysteries and, just all kinds of stuff. Not too much politics, no politics or sports, but just really interesting things. So go there if you've never seen that before, and subscribe there. He's, of course, in England, so he's going to be going to bed soon. But thank you for stopping in. We got John Thomas Chavez here. Israel's here. What's up, Israel? We got Jaeger Tharn. You guys are awesome. Wow, we're up to 37 now. If you've never commented before, because you're watching, I see you watching. If you've never commented before, say hi. I just want to talk to you. I just want to say hi. I just want to know that you're here. I just want to know that you're alive. Minuteman, what's up? And you never know. You may be shy. You comment for the first time. You may get addicted to it. You may like it. So, if you would like a super chat, and I'll explain what super chats are. Super chats are basically, you basically send a comment on Rumble. So the link is right there. If you can see it, the link is right there at the top of the chat. I've got it posted to the top. A super chat, you go to Rumble, You just type in a super chat, you hit the little money symbol, and your comment gets posted here on screen, and then we'll cover the comment, whatever it is you ask, or whatever you say. We'll cover the comment with significant amount of time, and you know, you get your say and you get your name up there on the thing. So, and it supports the channel, of course. Yeah, time difference. Yeah, it's weird. You know, Milan is in Bulgaria, and it's a weird adjustment. You know, so. Now I know I keep saying it, but I got to contact Coke. There's no reason why I should be paying for these sodas. They're expensive, by the way. They're like $40 a case, right? No way I should be paying for them with as much advertisement as I give them. And if they were giving me free Coke, I would do more than just drink it. You know, I would do stupid stuff like, you know, little funny things with it, get it going, you know. So I think they owe us, guys. I think Coke owes us. So Jaeger Tharn says, can I contract Coke to get some orange Fanta? You like that stuff? Yeah. I'll look into it. So we'll see. Wanna Fanta? Don't you wanna Fanta? Yeah. I had one once. It was really, really sweet, like really strong. It's like, whoa. It kicked my butt. So my dad asked me, who are we for? Father, we are definitely going for the Baltimore Ravens. Not because Miami is a threat in the AFC East, obviously, but well, I have my personal reasons for that are outside of football why I would root for the Ravens here. But it's just a bad NFL when a team like the Ravens is not any good. Okay? We're used to the Dolphins and other teams being trash year in and year out. So sometimes they'll be good for like a year or something. And then, you know, then they suck again. But they're normally crappy. So they would like give us problems, you know, the Patriots, when we'd go down to Miami and stuff. They'd play us pretty well. That's a division game, though. That's just how division games are. But for the most part, they never put together a complete year. I mean, they recently made the playoffs, but it didn't really matter. And now there are like seven teams that get in, so it doesn't even mean anything anymore. Basically, saying you made the playoffs now, it used to mean something like, hey, we made the playoffs, yeah. Doesn't mean anything anymore. Basically, what you have to say is, we won our division, or we were top 4 seed, or something like that. That's really what because if you're 6th or 7th, who cares? Unless you did something with it, unless you made it to the next round, right? So every year there's got to be an idiot team that gets the number 7 slot, right? There's always got to be one. No number 7 is ever going to win a Super Bowl. I know a few 6s have, but there's a big difference between 6 and 7, honestly. Not just record, but even if the records are similar, there's just something different. The 6s are barely any good. And usually a 6 that goes on a Super Bowl run is a 6 that just had some unfortunate situation in during the season that isn't indicative of who they really are. And so they're able to do that. But anybody who comes in at 7, they're going to suck, dude. They're going to suck. I don't know. So 5 is okay. 5's okay. 5's fine. But if you don't win your first game, who cares, right? So I don't know. I've noticed myself having higher standards now for the NFL. It's like certain things that they just don't seem to have significance as much anymore. So you've got to do more. You've got to have more impact now. It's it's weird. What's up, Gord King? Papa Pumpkin says early ship tomorrow, so stopping by quick and say hello. Let's go, baby. HN just broke a good run for a first down. Let's see who else has commented. Phil Williamson, what's up, man? He's a high C guy. That's old school. I drank that when I was a kid. Minuteman says, my previous take on Jim Kelly being better than Dan Marino, aged like Rosie O'Donnell. Huh. Minuteman says, go Ravens. I can't stand Miami. Phil Williamson says, tell it to the Jets. 15 years, no playoffs despite the expansion. Bucks were the 5 seed when Tom won. Early ship tomorrow. Somebody already read that. Israel agrees with me. He says, me too. The NFL has been going lower. The league keeps lowering standards. What's up, Sierra Chubbs? Blind Assassin, how you guys doing? So, what I mean by that, I just want to elaborate here. They're posting things now that don't make any sense. Even the NFL, the actual NFL is posting things that don't make any sense. Mahomes, first person in his first 9 seasons to do XX number of X amount of yards, blah, blah, blah. So, who cares? What does that even mean? Every year we're going to say that? Every year? I mean, why 9 seasons? Is that because, it's about him, so we have to go back and look at every stat that fits another quarterback. So, for example, they want to say, oh, he joined Peyton Manning for 40,000 yards over first 9 seasons. Okay? So these are stats that are chosen to complement Mahomes because he's only been in the league 9 years. So that's 9 years. You see what I'm saying? It's weird. And it doesn't make any sense, these length of time or first to whatever stats, because every quarterback has a different road. It's just a different situation. So some quarterbacks, they don't start immediately. Sometimes they wait for years, like Aaron Rodgers. He was in the league for several years. Let's see. He was drafted in 2005, didn't start till 2008. So the length of time, first 9 seasons, well, what does that mean exactly? You could start on week 1, your first year as a rookie. But if you're playing for a defensive team that's not throwing the ball a million times, but then 10 years later you switch to a good team, well, then are we allowed to go in and add those the years at the end, the better years? Are we allowed to compare those now? Do you see what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense. And then we have to adjust for guys who played in a different era. And I've said it before, but this is why in the Montana and Brady documentary, I would show their career stats and I just did that because if I didn't, everyone would be saying, hey, where's their long-term stats, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But I pointed out in the documentary, I said, guys, it's not fair to say, oh, Tom's got, 70,000 yards or whatever it was when I did it versus Joe's only got, 40,000 or 35, whatever it was. those yards are a little different, right? So I just don't like this whole thing, and I could have helped my argument against Tom, and a lot of people, I'm telling you, the vast majority of at least new NFL watchers would have bought that if I had sold that. If I had sold that, oh, look, Tom's got so many more touchdowns and so many more yards, blah, 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 so he must be better than Joe Montana because of that. Well, I could have done that, right? And I could have sold it. So it's just, but it's wrong. It's very wrong. So, and Tom is hard to pin down. I see Yeager Tharn here saying Tom played in 2 eras. Tom kind of played in 3 eras because his first time in the NFL, his first, let's say 2000 to, well, he didn't play in 2000, but 2001 to around 2000 to 2008, maybe a little before that, but we'll just say 08, before he got hurt. That was a pretty brutal league. Okay, they were allowing all kinds of headhunting. They were allowing weird, crazy things that I don't even remember in the 90s. There was just a lot of lethality, like the way these guys are using their bodies like as a missile. Like they had no regard for themselves. It was pretty bad. I remember watching and thinking that one of our best players was just going to get hit because some idiot on the other team was going to just use their whole body, sacrificing themselves, by the way, in order to get on that show Jacked Up. You guys remember that show Jacked Up? And every guy wanted to be on Jacked Up. So he would go and do something stupid to your best player so he could get on Jacked Up. So Tom played during that time. Then we kind of got a shift with the collective bargain agreement, the new one that happened in 2011, kind of made the shift. But there was already a prelude to that about how they were going to do things. And so it kind of started shifting, 09, 2010, something like that. We kind of got like a different NFL. I remember noticing a difference. And then it shifted again. And some things happened. I want to say 2016, 2017, I saw small little adjustments that kind of opened up the game even more. Kind of, put down, laid down the rules even more. They were like, oh, this has got to be this way. And you can't touch them this way. And you can't do that way. And then it just got worse. It got worse in 2018, 2019, 2020. And that all led into what we are today. And so I would really say Tom probably played in three eras, 3 significant eras. At least they're different enough to notice the difference. Like you can say, wow, okay, that is definitely this era when you were watching a game. So. It's unbelievable that Lamar Jackson's won 2 MVPs, and he's got nothing to show for it. I mean, I'm not taking away that. Actually, that's my point. Is that is a good accomplishment. It's a great accomplishment to be the best player in the league that year. You're better than all your peers. I mean, that is a great accomplishment. In fact, that's how we measure you. That's how we know when we're putting you up against, the past, and then how we'll put you up against the future. So it's a great accomplishment, It's a good play there, big play by Lamar. Throwing to Likely, which I saw was very likely. Wah, wah, wah. Okay, sorry. Blame my dad for the bad jokes. But it's great accomplishment getting one as a something to say, hey, look what I did. Getting multiple MVPs. Very few people who have done that, guys. There's not a lot. That's not easy. But when you get multiple MVPs, you've got to have something to show for it. And what I mean by that is some kind of memorable, epic year, where your team went 15-1, or now it would be, 16-1, or 15-2, or something like that, right? And then you went far into the playoffs. You made it to the championship, or you made it to the Super Bowl. Maybe you didn't win the Super Bowl, but we remember that year, and we're like, wow, they were good that year. And I'll give you an example. We all remember the Steelers from 2004, right? What do we remember about them? They didn't even get to the Super Bowl. But what is it that we always remember about them? That was Ben Roethlisberger's first year. They went 15-1 in the regular season. They went all the way to the AFC Championship game, but lost it was a tough loss for them, but lost to the ultimate Super Bowl champions, and then the dynasty was solidified that year. No shame in that, right? But we remember that. We remember them. So you'll always think about that. Lamar has none of that. He doesn't have one thing that I can like, wow, that year Lamar did that. No. I remember that year he choked. I remember that year that the Ravens choked. Which year is that? That's every year. It's every single year. So, I don't know, man. It's just sometimes these MVPs, I don't understand what they're looking at. Again, it's a regular season award. I'm not saying that they have to use the playoffs, because the playoffs have nothing to do with it. You would just think that the MVP that you pick is a guy that you see something in them that would translate to the playoff time, right? Again, any dog can have his day and get an MVP one season, okay? Rich Gannon has an MVP, okay? That tells you. Rich Gannon wasn't terrible or anything, but point being, you don't think of him as being an all-time great. But Lamar's got two. How do you have two? How do you have two MVPs? One of them is unanimous, okay? And you've got nothing to show for it. It's just wrong. It's just so wrong. We have 43 watching, guys. Only 13 likes. If you could help me out there and click like. If you click like, I'll come to your birthday party. Okay, let me catch up with the chat. Darn says, hey, Vaughn, what are your other favorite teams in other sports? Oh, wow. Okay. Touchdown. Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson to, of course, Andrews. Let's go. So, I don't know why I'm let's going on. Whatever. It's something at least. So, remember, this is VAS Live. This isn't necessarily commentary on the game. I will comment on the game, of course, but that's not what this is only about. This is also about talking football in general, and this week, upcoming week, and last week, whatever you guys want to talk about, we're good here. So I'm not going to be Chris Collinsworth. How do you like Leonard Dickerson coming right down your throat? I'm not going to do. That's a real quote by Chris Collinsworth, by the way. Here's a guy who's in love with Mahomes. I honestly think Chris Collinsworth and Tony Romo, they would fight to the death for who could have sex with Patrick Mahomes. like back in the old days, and in the honor days, where two guys would have a duel over a woman. I think Tony Romo and Chris Collinsworth would do that, and the winner gets Mahomes. Or if and the loser, well, it's a fight to the death, so he probably loses. But if for some reason he doesn't and he lives, like during the gladiator time, where sometimes if you put on a good performance, you both get to live. Well, if the loser gets to live, then of course he can at least get Patrick Mahomes' brother Jackson, and that would work. So. Oh, so going back, sorry. This is called the what did he call that? Where you go back. I can't remember. Anyway, so my favorite teams in other sports. Okay, so you've got hockey. It's the Dallas Stars. Basketball. Okay, so basketball's weird. So growing up, my favorite team was the Phoenix Suns. But then that changed after Kobe Bryant went to the Lakers, after he was on the Lakers, and Kobe became my favorite player. And so I started supporting the Lakers. Now I honestly can't say I have any team at all. I think the NBA is garbage, and I have absolutely no interest in what they're doing or what's going on there, or who wins or whatever. So I guess I'm going for the least woke team, if there's such a thing. So as far as baseball goes, baseball is something I've never really liked that much. I don't hate it or anything. It's just not something that I keep up with. So again, I don't have a favorite team there, but I guess I would just default to the Yankees, I guess, and that's only because of history. I like the history of it. I like Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig, and I like the legend of the Yankees. But again, that's very flimsy as far as modern baseball goes, because I just don't care. I just don't care. Let's see, other sports. You said tennis, or you didn't say tennis, but I mean you said other sports. So I'm going to say tennis. My favorite player of all time is Roger Federer. Let's see. Soccer, I don't watch soccer. I'm not a homosexual, and I'm not a woman, so I don't watch soccer. Let's see. Yeah. So if you think of anything else, let me know, and I'll answer it. So. Israel says, what's funny, Aaron? Max Kellerman used to call Brady the GOAT back in 2012, 2013-ish, because of all the touchdowns and records he owned at the time, which is shocking. So, yeah, what happened with Max Kellerman is that he got that job on First Take, and he even admitted this. So it was day one, first day. That was a good catch if that flag doesn't pull it back. But on his first day, paired with Stephen A. Smith, he thought that he needed to show up at the very beginning with a hot take, a big take, to basically declare himself, I'm on the show, this is my thing, this is my signature. And so he chose to say something about Brady, who was the best player in the NFL, So he thought it would be something controversial and interesting. Not necessarily that he meant it. And he even admitted that he was looking for something controversial. So, I don't know. But then he had to stay with that. He had to stick with it. And over time, he just looked dumber and dumber and dumber. That's where you've got guys like Rob Parker and Chris Sims. They're serious. They're not, clickbaiting, or they're not doing any of that. They're not joking when they do that. So Israel says Kellerman likes to use BOAT and GOAT, best of all time, greatest of all time, for different quarterbacks, kind of like how they do Mahomes and Rodgers against Brady. Yeah. So the thing is, you do that because they're very different explanations, I guess, right? For people. But it's really hard to factually state, right? Because there's no metric really. Because when you're talking about, let's say you lay down Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or whatever, okay? You're laying all these guys down. They've all got yards. They've all got touchdowns. They've all got great passes and great throws and insane things that other people haven't done and whatever, right? Whose is better? How do you gauge that? How do you know? It's really the only one to gauge is the greatness. It's like, okay, it's there. Look what they've got. They've got these records. They've got these wins. They've got these Super Bowls. It's just, you can't argue that, right? But the best, like the boat, like you're talking about, that's really, it's kind of like the word talent. So let's say you're a fan of a team and your favorite quarterback, doesn't hold up to the certain other quarterbacks' achievements. So what you do is you say, oh, he's more talented. If you remember when Mahomes came on the scene in 2018, he's the most talented quarterback we've ever had, we've ever seen. Most talented. Well, they said that about Aaron Rodgers. Well, before Aaron Rodgers, they were saying that about Michael Vick. Before Michael Vick, they were saying it about Peyton Manning. Before Peyton, they were saying it about, going a little earlier, but they said that about Brett Favre. And then, on and on. John Elway, Dan Marino. And it just, every time there was like a new guy, there's always a guy that is getting slurped, is getting just completely glazed on. And it's kind of how it works. But that's their way of fitting their guy. If you notice, and I've noticed this my whole life actually, in conversations when people talk about, oh, this quarterback is so talented, he is so amazing, he is so, way he does this or that, they never mention Joe Montana. They always mention the underachievers. And I say underachiever in comparison to Joe Montana. Dan Marino and John Elway were always the two that were getting the Mahomes treatment. Okay? They were always getting the Mahomes treatment. And Joe Montana was never looked at as that guy you would say is the most talented, or look how well he throws. Even though talent is a very odd thing to gauge, right? Talent in what exactly? So does talent in being clutch, not losing your cool in the biggest moments, is that not a talent? No, what they really mean is just throwing, just looking cool, looking good. Okay? Well, let's face it, Joe plays, very by the book. He's a fundamental guy. And the ones they call talented are the ones that do things that are kind of, unexpected sometimes. And that's how they go by it. And they do the same thing to Tom. Now, the word talented is almost exclusively reserved for quarterbacks that run. So that the domain now is the word talented is basically the domain of running quarterbacks. It's just what? Pay attention to commentators and analysts, or analyst, I should say. WNBA, have no idea. That's worse than soccer. I'm trying to make Israel's head explode. Tyree Vaughn says Patrick Mahomes. You know, that's a sad thing, right? We should be getting to enjoy, you know, what's going on and enjoying the ride just as fans. They won't let us. They won't let us because they keep insulting the past. They keep insulting others. It's ridiculous. So let's talk about the Patriots real quick. I've noticed that everybody is doing everything they can, other than Patriots fans, okay, obviously. Everything they can to dismiss the Patriots and dismiss Drake Maye. They want to put Mahomes number one so badly. Mahomes is not number one right now. Is he overall the head guy, the king of the NFL? Yeah, of course. But we're talking right now who's playing the best football. And it's really about 5 others, I think, overall. So they're only looking at like the last 2 games. And I don't even understand what the big deal is about these last 2 games. The Lions game was a joke. The Lions got completely derailed by weird calls and non-calls and just weird situations. And that can change the course of a game. Of course, Chiefs fans will say, oh, look, Chiefs had more penalties. Not about the amount of penalties, dude. It's about when the penalties are called and what they affect. But anyway, that's a different conversation. But I just wasn't overly that impressed. And then you got the Raiders, which are we really, so. And then you hear the arguments about, oh, he got his guys back or whatever. Well, you can't do that without your own guys. I mean, sorry, but I've seen Brady do some crazy stuff with nobody's. It's like, so it still counts though, right? That's just part of it. Every team has injuries. You gotta keep coming through. But Drake is clearly playing better. Clearly. Dude, he looks so good, okay? I'm not trying to be a homer or whatever you want to call it, but in fact, clearly I'm not being a homer because I really haven't given him a lot of attention. And it's only because I just temper my expectations and I don't want to be burned. I got excited about Mac Jones. I didn't think he was going to be Brady or anything, but I don't know. For some reason, I was sold. I let that. I started to believe that he was possibly, despite my issues with Nick Saban quarterbacks that come from college, that came from the Alabama program, you know, at the time, I just didn't trust it. But I was sold quite a bit on Mac Jones and just didn't get anywhere close to what I thought would happen. And I think Drake Maye obviously is way better than Mac Jones is, but I'm just saying, I just don't want to get too crazy here. But damn, he looks like a good quarterback right now. And he's nothing like Brady, guys. He's not Tom, okay? And that's a good thing, okay? That's a good thing as far as he can not worry about those comparisons. I mean, everyone's always going to compare him to Tom because of the Patriots. But I mean, as far as if he played like Tom, then he's really in trouble, right? But at least he has his own thing. He's separate from Tom and his playing style. The only thing he's got in common with Tom was two things. Patriots, of course. But he does kind of look like Tom when Tom was in his first year. When Tom had that weird baby fat on his face. It's funny looking. Go look at a picture of Tom without his helmet on. Tom with his helmet on looks the same no matter what year it is. But when he took his helmet off in 2000 and 01, he's got this weird fat, like college head. I call it a college head, like a big fat baby fat head. He kind of looks like Drake there, but that's where the comparison ends, honestly. Tharn says Tom won Super Bowls with his top receiver being Troy Brown. There's a lot of truth in that. I just don't know why people can't let these guys be their own. You know, if Drake Maye can win a Super Bowl for the Patriots, I know for me personally, I'm not going to be counting. I'm not going to be like, oh, we're going to get two. No way. And it's not connected to the other six. You see, Drake Maye gets us the Super Bowl. Let's say it's this year, okay? Why not? But let's say they do it. To me, that's an isolated Super Bowl. That's I'm going to enjoy that for what it is. I'm not going to be ring counting. I'm not going to be like, oh, now it's, we need two more. That's the first to the dynasty or whatever, blah, blah, blah. This is the mistake that Chiefs fans make, because one day the end is going to happen. Obviously, it happens every team, right? Every dynasty. It may not end now, and it may end later, but you're going to miss it. You're going to miss it. Make sure that you enjoy each win for what it is, and in its own unique way. I can tell you, I never started counting as far as like how I was enjoying it until the Rams Super Bowl, the second one. So that was ring number 6. No, I'm sorry. That's not true. I was counting with the Eagles, but we lost, of course. And I'll tell you why. So the first one was I was just glad to be a part of that and couldn't believe we finally won, right? That was awesome. The second one was like, how did we get back in the Super Bowl again? Like, it's kind of weird because where did we go? 9-7, 10-6 in 2002, something like that, right? I know we missed the playoffs. And then in 2003, all of a sudden, we're just awesome. And we find ourselves in the Super Bowl. And I'm thinking, wow, it'd be cool to win this. And I was like, wow, we won 2. That's amazing. And that's it, And then 2004 comes back, and we haven't lost in like a long time. It's and we start playing well again. We start and then I was like, huh, maybe we could call ourselves a dynasty. But I never thought past 3. I never thought like 4, 5, 6. Then 07 was a Super Bowl in itself. I don't remember thinking this is going to be 4. I remember thinking that this Super Bowl we had to win it. We just had to win it because it was the undefeated season. That season was in itself on its own, 2011, that one, going into that one, again, it wasn't about 4 for me. It was about redeeming ourselves from the 07 loss. Then 2014 came along. 2014 was definitely unique in itself, right? 2014 was to show that we can still win and that we still are around and still relevant. And of course, after we won that, then I'm like, wow, okay, we're tied with Montana. Brady's tied with Montana. That's amazing. But that's still only 4. There were several teams with 5 and 6. So 5 or 6, I should say. Then we're back in the Super Bowl in 2016 against the Falcons. And I remember thinking, well, if Tom gets 5, he'd be the only one in the Super Bowl. Only quarterback with the Super Bowl, 5 Super Bowl rings. And Charles Haley was the only other player with 5 rings. He got them from the Cowboys and 49ers. But after that, I really started counting. I was like, okay, can we become the most winningest, team of all time? But anyway, the point to this very long story is each Super Bowl victory was celebrated within itself. There was no like, okay, this one, okay, now we need this one, needs it. Like the LeBron, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7. When they did that, if you guys remember, when the Miami Heat won their first with LeBron, not their first as an organization, but first with LeBron, with that group, that super team, nobody cared. You guys remember that? Nobody cared. It didn't mean anything. And then they won 2. Like 2 years later, I think it was 2 years later, they won it, the second one. Nobody cared. It just didn't matter. It did. Because you're supposed to get not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. And I think the Chiefs fans are really going to regret this. They're going to look back on it and they're going to be like, man, I wish I really would have enjoyed it instead of worrying about Brady or worrying about how many Super Bowls the Steelers or the Chiefs, the Steelers or the Patriots have, or how many rings Tom Brady has, blah, blah, blah. So, but I will definitely celebrate a Drake Maye Super Bowl for its own thing, and I just has nothing to do with the past anymore. So, what is the only connection is, I guess, Josh McDaniels, right? So. So I have the Amazon game right here on the screen, but behind me I have it's an interesting game. It's the Buccaneers, Redskins. I'm sorry, not the Redskins. The Washington Jerkoffs. This is a wild card playoff game from 2020 where there's no one in the stands. Pretty interesting game. It's a game that we usually don't talk about or go back to. I don't think so anyway. What's up, Crossbearer on Rumble? How you doing, man? Yeah, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it, man. So yeah, I have the chats open for all the platforms. So if you comment on YouTube, if you comment on Rumble, if you comment on Twitch, if you comment on X, I'll see it. The only one I won't see is probably Facebook, but I don't have that one open. So I think Mike McDaniels. I think he's trying to get fired. I think he wants to get fired. So he signed a new contract last year, and that puts him through 2028. I think he wants to get fired now. When he wants to be paid until 2028 doing nothing. I really think that's what he wants. He's trying to get fired. And they're refusing to because they don't want to pay another coach. And, you know, there's Dan Marino. That's a guy who was born out of his time, right? I would love to see what Marino would do right now. That would be interesting. Yeah, Tyree. Tyree says it's hard to like Patrick because he's always compared to Tom, but he's gotten blown out twice in the Super Bowl. This is the thing that Chiefs fans they really don't understand. The NFL existed before 2020. I don't think they're aware of it. I don't think they have an understanding of it. So I'm not actually trying to be a smartass. I'm serious. So yeah, Israel. Israel says the weird thing about Patrick is that he's actually a cool dude, but the people who surround him are incredibly annoying, and that's true. So he seems to be nice guy, all that. Although I don't like his arrogance on the field, it's just a little annoying. And personally, he seems like a good person. I agree with that. But everyone in his life, the team around him, the fan base, the analyst on TV, everybody around him and involved with him is so obnoxious. You just, I just wish they would back off so we could just enjoy it. Oh, how is that not a penalty? Oh, good no call. It looked like a horse collar tackle, but it wasn't. That's interesting. I'm surprised that wasn't called. But it's true. If you look at the replay, it wasn't. It was fine. Looks like this. I need to fix this real quick. Just a second. Floating head. Woo. Okay. Okay, Crossbearer is Michael Swearingen on Rumble. Hey, Michael. Yeah, I see you on X a lot. Looks like we got a comment rankings now in the YouTube chat. So it shows like um I don't know what's going on. I woke up, my lips are dry. It's driving me crazy. I don't know what the hell happened. I think I bit my lip or something right here. Hurts. I do that sometimes when I'm sleeping. You know, had some weird dreams last night. I had a dream that the Chiefs won 13 Super Bowls. I'm kidding. You know, I'm really sick of the NFL looking like college football. It's They have dumbed down the NFL in order to fit the college game instead of making the college kids have to improve and come up and get better. And that's how it's always been. It's always been you go from college, and then when you get to the NFL, you've got to learn all of these complex things. And that's, if you don't learn it, then that makes you a bust or something. What's changed and what's happened is that maybe the owners, I'm not sure. It's probably partly owners, partly just kind of happened on its own. But they've dumbed the game down because the quarterback draft pick has now become bigger than the team itself. So the owner is saying, I need this pick, this guy, he's got to make it. You've got to make it work. And the coach says, hypothetically, the coach says, well, he's an idiot. We drafted him and he's an idiot. What are we supposed to do? Well, you better make it work or I'm going to fire your ass. Because the quarterback's going to be here, but you may not be. So do what you got to do. And the coach says, well, he's a dumbass. So I guess I could dumb down the playbook. I guess we could do stuff that he's familiar with in college, And the owner says, fine, we'll do that. So, and someone did that, and it kind of worked. The guy was able to at least play a little bit. And then another team saw that and it worked. And then another team, they start copying it. And so now they start adopting their college stuff. And then these guys don't have to learn. They don't have to learn complex offenses. They don't have to actually get better. And the product is suffering badly. So when these guys come out here on the field, I'm looking at college play. That's what I see. I don't see, that guy is definitely a pro compared to the college quarterback. I don't see it. It's very few guys look like they've made that leap, that jump. I mean, there's guys that you look at them immediately when they're throwing the ball or they're out there running the huddle. And you're like, wow, okay, that guy is a pro quarterback. There's a big difference. There's a few of them like that. But at least half of them, they could have been in the league for years, and they look like college quarterbacks to me. So it's really annoying. Tua's one of those. He looks like a college quarterback to me. I don't think he's learned anything. I don't think he knows anything different. I think this offense is pathetic. I think this scheme is generic. Even the checks are generic. I mean, it's not even college, it's high school stuff, man. I'm talking about the passing game. Speaking of the Patriots, Minuteman says, what is going on with Belichick? Belichick is trying to completely ruin his legacy, you know? It's interesting. Like, I remember when Robert Kraft was dating a young girl, and I thought it was gross. Like, it was gross looking. But as far as like getting on Kraft's case about it, I at least understood it a little bit. And what I mean by that is Myra died, right? And so his wife, 50 years or whatever it was, is gone. And maybe if you replace her with a woman your age or close to your age, you're trying to replace her, and that doesn't work, right? I mean, maybe if you just go with a young girl, a younger woman, it's obvious what that is. Okay, it's not a replacement. It's not a new companion. It is what it looks like. Although too young, I would say this argument would probably work with someone probably in their 40s or 50s probably with him. But the concept, I understand it. But with Belichick, the issue with Belichick is more than just age difference, although it's gross. Like I said, it's gross. Belichick is literally letting this woman, this girl, run his life. She is micromanaging every single thing. It's unbelievable. And he is acting like her instead of her acting like him. He's acting like a frat boy, a college frat boy. I'm going to go and coach college, and I'm going to do the whole rah-rah. I'm going to be around all the college crap, and I'm dating the young girl who wants to be there because it's college, and she's probably going to all the frat parties and crap. This guy is single-handedly, okay, without any help from anyone else, is ruining his legacy. I disagreed with Belichick on a lot of things. And in a lot of things I praised him for. But I always respected him. I don't anymore. I don't. Anything left, any ounce of respect I had for him that was left over just for the Patriots years, it's gone the moment he went to the college. This is before I even knew about the girlfriend. So that's a separate issue from what I'm saying. Just going down to college alone, I completely just lost it. I was like, that's it. That's it. He's ruined his legacy. You don't go from the top down to college. That's not one step down, guys. That's a massive step down. The difference between college and pro is a huge gap. Okay? It's not like when you go from high school to college, right? Let's see. High school, college. High school, college. Pro. College, pro. Okay? Huge jump. Huge jump. Why would you go down? Why? Why would you even go into that domain? There's no win. There's no win, okay? First of all, if you go down and you're Bill Belichick, you're going to be expected to be Nick Saban. As Bill Belichick, if you win one national title, no one's going to care. Who's going to care? Okay. Good job, Belichick. You won a national title in college. Well, duh. You've won 6 Super Bowls as a head coach in the NFL. You won 2 as a defensive coordinator with the New York Giants. You want us to get all excited that you went down there and beat a bunch of retards? You know, like, why doesn't Usain Bolt go run in the Special Olympics? Okay? So, yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to have Usain Bolt. We're going to have him join the Special Olympics. And then he's just going to destroy everybody. Okay? And then he's going to celebrate. And then we're going to just be like, oh, my God. Bolt is not only did he dominate the Olympics, he dominated the Special Olympics. You see that retard over there? He outran him. Okay? You see that? Oh, yeah. He defeated him. Okay. I apologize for saying the word retard in that sense. I got carried away there because I don't mean it like that. But you get my point. So why? Why do you go down there and do that? Why? Why do you go down to college? Nothing you do is going to help your legacy. Nothing. And you ain't got time to be Nick Saban. You ain't got that many years left. It took Saban, 2 decades to do what he did. And even that, wasn't that unprecedented? I'm not exactly well versed in the college game history, but I think what he did was kind of unprecedented, right? At least in the modern era, or close to it. But Nick Saban is considered one of the greatest coaches in college history. I do not see Nick Saban as a better coach. Okay, you ready for this? You ready? Fasten your seatbelt. I don't see him as a greater coach, a better coach than guys in the NFL who have won Super Bowls. I would not take, for my NFL team, I would not take Nick Saban over Harbaugh, for example. I would not do it. I swear, I would not do it. It just wouldn't happen. And do you know why? Because we saw Saban in the NFL. We saw it. We know what it looks like. Okay? He sucked. He absolutely was just trash. Okay? College is a weird thing where you can stack a team if you've got a good program and you've got the right boosters and all that, and the money and the wooing people and the parents and all that stuff. You can, that's why it's usually, not always, but usually the same teams that are good every year. And then year out, it's just how it is. But he couldn't cut it. He couldn't cut it in the NFL. He was just awful. So that's Nick Saban. Okay, that's him. He's considered the greatest or one of the greatest. And I don't even see him at the level of John Harbaugh. Okay? I just don't. So what in the hell is Bill Belichick going to get out of it? Nothing. If Belichick had gone to a new team, a new NFL team, and it just didn't work out, that's still way better than what he's doing in college. Because that's beneath him. It's beneath him. It's ridiculous. There's a lot of great coaches who moved to teams and it just didn't work. And we don't fault them for that. Joe Gibbs went back to the Redskins. And it just, that period in the 2000s, it didn't work. Do you hear anybody talking about Joe Gibbs, like he sucks because of that? No. 3 Super Bowl victories with 3 different quarterbacks. Joe Gibbs is legit, right? Does anybody crap on Bill Parcells? Two Super Bowls with the New York Giants. Took the New England Patriots to a Super Bowl. And then after that, he coached the Jets. And then he coached the Dallas Cowboys. And he never could get back. He never could. And a lot of those years weren't that great, let's be honest. There's flashes of some good stuff, but nothing like with New England and New York. Nobody holds that against him. Nobody. He's just Bill Parcells, He's a great. So Belichick could have taken a rebuild project. He could have taken, the Raiders team. Like Tom Brady was wanting him to be the coach of the Raiders. Belichick could have gone to the Raiders. If it didn't work out, we'd all be like, oh, it's the Raiders. Belichick's old. It's whatever. We would make excuses for him, and everyone would make excuses for him, and it would just naturally happen. No one would care. And he'd go to the Hall of Fame, and he'd have his 6 Super Bowls as head coach, and that's it. It wouldn't damage him, It's just the way it is, right? Nothing he can do in college is going to help him. Nothing. You win, okay, big deal. You won in the Special Olympics. You lose, that's a disaster. It's a complete disaster. Now, not only did Tom Brady leave, and you pushed him out, and Tom went and won a Super Bowl with an idiot as head coach, okay? A complete buffoon as a head coach. But you went down to college and couldn't make it. If Belichick has any ounce of sanity left and wants to save anything left in his career and his legacy, is to quit. Quit the college, take the buyout. That I heard there was rumors that there was a buyout. Take that buyout. Take a year off. Get rid of that stupid girl. Date someone that, I'd say anybody menopause or post-menopause is probably fair game for him. And go to an NFL team if you want to still coach. And then we'll just forget about this thing. But do it now. Do it now. Or just say, oh, you know what? He didn't even have a full year, so we don't know what would have happened. We could always say that. We could say, well, we don't know what would have happened, right? But if you don't get out now, it's over. People still say that Belichick was the biggest part of that dynasty. Who says that? Like, of course, he was a big part of it, but imagine Bill Walsh going to college. I can't. I can't. It's a different thing. It's just different. It, well, Minuteman meant Bill Walsh going to college after he had dominated the NFL. Now, I'm a 99.9% sure that Bill Walsh did not take a. He didn't, did he? I don't think so. I know he coached college early. I mean, a lot of coaches do that, of course. But after he retired from the 49ers, he kind of came back on as like an advisor or something. But I don't think he went to college after that. Winning in college has its own set of challenges. It's not easy. Well, that's fine, but it's a bad look for a guy who has won at the highest level. So, and also in college, here's the thing about college. Most of the people on the field that you're playing against is never going to sniff the NFL, ever. When you're coaching in the NFL, every single guy on the field is the best of the college group that they came from. They are the elite. They are the best players in the world. Everybody on the field, okay? And you've got to coach around that. You got to coach against that. It's different, you know. As we're in college, you can have like crap load of future NFL prospects on your team, and then you're playing a team that might only have one. You know, it's so. Okay, John. Look at John. In all fairness, Saban was tasked with coaching against the Brady-led Patriots twice a year. Sure. So, yeah, 2 games ain't gonna determine anything, actually. John, that's true. That would have been interesting. He says if Bill swallowed his pride and been the defensive coordinator on a contender, there's a good chance they win a Super Bowl. That would be, yeah. I even was in a conversation about that back when we didn't know what he was going to do, and I thought that was a good choice. That would have been cool. John says buffoon is not a word that's used very much. Yeah, see, I'm trying to keep it alive. Yeah. These moths get in. You know what they do? They eat my clothes. Had to get these cedar hangers, you know, keep them away. They're obnoxious little, ugh. So, oh, okay. Hope the glare on my glasses doesn't bother you guys too much. What is that? Oh, that's the glare. Okay. Jaeger says Bill Belichick's UNC tenure is a bigger disaster than the Titanic, the Hindenburg, and Mondale's 84 campaign combined. Thorne coming out with an 84 Mondale. 84 Mondale, dude. Let's go. Another Tom. Thank you. Thank you, Tom. This dude's so nice. He is so cool. I really appreciate it, Tom. Thank you, man. He does this. So what he does, Tom Grossi at halftime, he will choose a streamer, a smaller streamer who's online, and send all of his people to say hi. It's called a Grossi raid. But this is the second time he's done it now. He did it a few years ago, and it was shock. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I thought we were hacked. But thank you so much, Tom. I really appreciate that. That's really cool. Hi, guys. How are y'all doing? Subscribe if you want to check us out. We're a small family here, a small group, but we have fun, and we talk a lot of football, talk different teams, different stuff. So you'll like it here, you know, when Tom's not streaming, of course. So, but yeah, I'm personally a fan of the New England Patriots. Yeah. So, well, I've got a hat. Well, it's got the Rams and Patriots, but yeah. Yeah. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. Yeah, seriously, Denny Street. Yeah, the first time it happened, I didn't know what was going on. And all these comments just started coming in. I'm like, what the hell? And the first thing I thought was somebody is spamming the chat there. So Packers look good, man. The Packers look good. I know a lot of you guys are Packers fans, but they look good. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how long they've sustained this. It's they weren't good in the 80s when I was little, but ever since Brett Favre, they have really stayed with it, and it's amazing. What do I think about Philly? I think people are crapping on Philly too much. The defending Super Bowl champions, okay? And until they're knocked out of the playoffs, and until somebody does something about it, I don't know why everyone is trying to, you know, put a nail in their coffin, basically. So go Pack, go, and go Bills. So you got a guy named Finn here who's actually, with a name like Finn, you'd think he's a Dolphins fan. He says, go Pack, go, and go Bills. Wow, so you like them both. Well, that's okay. A lot of people have an AFC team and an NFC team that they like. So, you know, for you Packers fans, my uncle was very close friends with Bart Starr. So, not that you care, Maybe you do care. I don't know. But that's something to brag about, I guess. Yeah, John Darren, you can't tell who's good this year so far. I wouldn't crap on anybody right now, and I'm just not willing to. I'm not willing to make that statement. I'm not willing to say this X team is bad because of this or whatever. Now, if I was pushed, the only thing I would say is that I don't think the Colts are as good as they seem. I'm not buying the Colts yet. Yet. I need to see more. But for the most part, I wouldn't say any team is the clear favorite right now. So it's a weird year. Now the Bills, they have a huge game against the Chiefs, and they need to win that. They need to win that. The Bills window, I don't know how much longer it's going to be open, but they've got to make something happen. As far as the Packers, that was a great trade they made, or signing. Sorry. Uh, yeah, they're gonna be tough to deal with in the playoffs. The Falcons. I don't think any Falcons fan wants to talk about the Falcons. Thanks, Slim Hansen. Appreciate it. Whoa. Element 24 is a Browns and Cowboys fan. Yeah. So how much is your therapy bills? Dude, that's rough. Holy crap. Respect. You got to remember, we choose, okay? We choose who we root for. We choose our teams, you know? Now, I know some people are born into it, but you still have a choice. You can always change it. So to purposely root for the Browns and the Cowboys, that is that is a therapist's dream right there. So good luck with that. But yeah, I don't know who said it, but yeah, this year's a weird year. So, but anyway, thank you, Tom. I appreciate that, buddy. That was very nice of you. And if you guys, any of you guys coming over, please subscribe and join our family. So, being born into a Jets or Browns fan, as a Browns fan, is child abuse. Yeah, you guys see that video of that Jets kid, looked like a teenager maybe, and he was asked what he thought about his Jets team, and he said, "I was born into this." It was just, man, man, that's rough. That is rough. Imagine being a Jets fan and you inherit Jets tickets. So you, your dad passes away, right? And it's already a horrible time. And then in the will, you get Jets tickets, and you're just, hmm. Well, I guess the best you could do with that is you could just sell it to the opposing teams, fans, right? Each week. So that would work. Okay. So let me go back here. What were we? Yeah, Phil Williamson says Gus Farah, AJ Feely, Awash Dante Culpepper, Joey Harrington, and Cleo Lemon. Those were Saban's quarterbacks in Miami. And do you know why, Phil? Does anyone know? This is a trivia for you guys. Do you know why? Do you know why Saban had those quarterbacks and why he didn't have a good quarterback? See if you guys know. One of coaching's biggest blunders. He didn't have to have that. He had a chance. He made that mistake. That was him. John Thomas Chavez says, Bill Walsh coached in college when Brown was sabotaging Bill's chances of being an NFL head coach. Yeah. But that happened before. But I think the point was a coach who has won all these Super Bowls at the highest level and then goes back down to college seems ridiculous. I have no problem with an NFL coach going back if it's not working out for him. I just won't care about you, and I'm not going to make a big deal out of you. Like with Saban, he went down, whatever, that's his thing, but I'm not going to sit here and, oh my God, Nick Saban's amazing, because it just doesn't matter. But yeah. Paul Brown really screwed Walsh up, man. And but not after though. Brandon the Gamer says, so Vaughn, you still a cynical bastard. Oh, come on, man. Tell me I'm not right. Okay? Come on. Okay, let me catch up here. Oh yeah, that Element 24. He says his family's from Cleveland, but he was born in Dallas. He says, I have a Madden team I always use, which is the Chargers. They are my third team, and fantasy football is where I get my dopamine hit. Dang, man. Okay, I get it. That's hard. I mean, we have Israel here who is a Cowboys fan, and boy, to hear him talk about it, it's not something I would want in my life. Did anybody get the answer? Let's see. John Darren says, what games do you stream? We're here every Thursday night, and then if there's big games, we'll stream on Sundays and Mondays. This Sunday is the Bills and Chiefs. We'll definitely be streaming for that one. But if it's just like a mediocre matchup, I might not. So, Bill Williamson got it. Miami's doctors said Breeze couldn't play anymore. There he goes. Nick Saban and the Miami Dolphins had a shot at Drew Brees. John Darren, can you donate through YouTube? Unfortunately, no. They demonetized me. So the only way to donate is a super chat is through Rumble, which is the link at the top of the chat there. If you click that, it takes you to the Rumble chat, and then you can do a super chat right there. Or if you want to donate separately, you can go to Patreon. So I'll put that link in right now. There you go. I really appreciate you asking, man. Thank you so much. John says, Saban and the Bills were friends? No. Saban and Bill Belichick, very close. So When Belichick was the head coach of the Cleveland Browns, Nick Saban was his assistant coach. So they have a history there. But the Dolphins had a shot, and all those coaches, that's not good. So yeah, John, I saw that. You talking about the eye poke? Yeah, that's So I don't know if I asked this before, guys, but if any of you guys play chess, okay, chess. If you play chess, I am on chess.com. I'll type in my username. I am called Von, of course, Morphe. Von Morphe. So Von underslash, or not underslash, underscore, Von underscore Morphe. That's me on chess.com. If you guys ever want to play, send me a challenge or friend me on there. And every Tuesday night, I will be streaming me playing chess, and we'll talk football and whatever sports you want. And it's just a laid back, just hanging out, not any agenda or anything like that, but just having some fun. So this game is kind of stagnated a bit. You want me to? Israel's asking me about a book. So it's off topic a little bit. It's non-sports, but I can show you. It won't take long. I'm going to go get a new soda, guys. I'll be right back. Okay? Don't go anywhere. I'm going to check how many viewers I have. 45. If that goes down, I'm coming to your house. Okay? All right. 1 minute. What's up, cat? Coke is better. Oh, Pepsi is better. No, Coke is better. Meow, 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 meow. Kitty, kitty, kitty. Meow, meow. That's my Coke, kitty cat. You know what? I think my microphone went with me. Yeah, it's on my headphones. Okay. All right. So, we're in business. Of course, this came, Tyree Vaughn and his family sent me that, along with a huge basket of Coke stuff. Okay. Yeah, almost had a hot mic moment. Yeah. I'm glad I didn't say anything really weird, other than what I usually talk about. Yes, I talk to my animals. Who doesn't? Okay. So I just wanted to tell this story real quick. It's not sports related, but I promised Israel I would tell the story. So I lived in Bulgaria for 4 years and went to school there, went to college. And of course, you guys know Milena. She's Bulgarian, and she grew up during, partly communism. It wasn't all communism. They made a switch, but she did have some experience when she was real little. But there was an author during communism there. There was an author who lived downstairs from her. This is his book right here. So they were very clever in how they would get rid of people. So what they would do, anybody who was opposed to communism in any way, who did anything that wasn't within the lines of the party, they got sent away. And all of a sudden, this guy, this author, he's gone. And everyone's like, where'd he go? And Milena, they're neighbors, and Where did he go? What happened to him? This guy is a famous author in that country. So imagine one of our famous authors all of a sudden just disappearing. It's like, what the hell is going on here? So he's gone, and everyone's wondering what happened to him. Okay, well, this is how they explained it. You ready for this? This is brilliant. So they had it to where all the people in the country believed that working in the city, which is Sofia, the capital, was a privilege. And that if you lived in the city, which is true, you needed permission to live in the city, but you had to work and you had to do everything within the confines of communism. But it's a privilege. So that way everyone feels special. You feel important versus the people who live in the small towns across the country. So it was a privilege to live in the capital, and they had everyone thinking in these terms. So when someone would just disappear from the city, people wouldn't go very far trying to inquire about what happened to them, because the communist government would just say, oh, they didn't want to work, they didn't want to keep their end up, so they had to move to a small town somewhere, or they had to move out of the city and work there and then earn their way back to Sofia. And everyone, of course, because it hit on their pride and their ego, would be like, oh, okay, well, I'm special, I do it, so screw him, he left. He doesn't deserve to be here. That's how they explained it. Where did he really go? He went to the gulag. Okay? Sent to the gulag, and but that's how they got away with it. So if you've ever asked yourself, how you look at history and you ask, how does government get away with the things they do, and how come the people don't challenge them, right? How come it seems weird, right? Like someone just disappearing. But they had such an infrastructure in place and such a system in place that answered for all of these things. People ask themselves, how did they do what they did in Nazi Germany? How did they do what they did in the Soviet Union and communism? How did they do that in Bulgaria? How do they do it in China today? Because it's not as simple as, oh, someone's missing and the government did them wrong and now the people are going to revolt. No. They have a way around that, to work around it and make the people actually feel like they're a part of something special, and so they don't question it. And then the ones who knew better, okay, wouldn't say anything anyway because they didn't want to go to the gulag either. Those people would be Malena's family, of course, because her dad refused to join the commies, and that's why he worked out of the country. But most people wouldn't pursue it much. But anyway, so that's the story, Israel. I just wanted to tell you that, and because I think it's very interesting because we were talking about that recently. But that's how they do it. That's how they do it. So if you're ever wondering, you say, how can the people of Germany just allow that? How can they allow the Jews being sent to camps and stuff? Well, they brainwashed these people into thinking that they were the problem, that they were the reason why their life is so bad. And when you do that, or when you hit on their ego, you can get people to do anything. Sounds crazy. It still works today. Look around the world. It still works today. Okay. So we've got a 21-6 lead for the Ravens here. Dolphins fans are booing them. I mean, what did they expect? You're a garbage team. You have a head coach who is probably tonight he's going to probably start his career as a serial killer. He's probably going to start murdering strippers. I mean, this guy's creepy, right? You got a quarterback that is just not that good. Or it's just not working for him, I guess. So. You guys remember this one? Look how big she is. This is the kitten, the little kitten. No, this is not the black one. The black one's different. So, okay, you go play. All right. Yes, Mike. Yeah, McDaniels. He looks like a registered sex offender. Yes, I agree. Elvin Courage, what's up, man? He protects me. It's Mr. Right. Okay. Sorry, I'm just checking comments on the other sites. Don't want to neglect those. Okay. All right, cool. All caught up. Yeah, Elf. So I'm going to be here every Thursday night, so just count on that. 5:30 every Thursday. That's what we're doing. That's locked in, so you can count on that. And then I will do big games on Sunday night and Monday nights. Like, for example, the Bills Chiefs on Sunday night. I'll be doing that one. That's a huge game. So, and how long I go depends on the game. If the game is going well, it's very interesting, exciting, and we'll stick around for it. But in a blowout, or a game that's just not interesting, I'm talking about on Thursday nights. So I might get off early. So. Yeah, Thorne, I honestly have to agree with you. He says, and Josh Allen isn't winning the Super Bowl with McDermott as his head coach. There's just something wrong there. Yeah, I know. Israel says, I'm currently debating Mahomes fans. They're confident he's greater than Montana already. Huh? So here's the problem about this, okay? What if Mahomes, okay, I'm not saying this is going to happen, okay? But I'm just saying, what if? What if starting next year, let's say in week 1, he gets injured, all right? And he's out for the year. Like what happened with Brady in 2008. And when Mahomes comes back, Andy Reid is gone. Travis Kelce's gone. Spagnolia's gone. Let's just say it's a new team, okay? Mahomes comes back the next year and is trash. And then he's trash again. And he's trash and he's trash. And the next thing you know, he's like a backup on the Bengals or something. Okay? What now? What now? What do you do now? What do you say? I mean, it doesn't take away that he is going to Hall of Fame, obviously. He's already done that. He's sealed that. That's done. But you said he's greater than Montana? This is the problem. This is the problem with doing it that early. I can remember people saying that Brady was greater than Montana long before you could say something like that. Long before. And I'm a Brady guy, and I didn't like it. I was like, no, not yet. So it's the further we get away from the past, like a certain point, like the further we got away from Terry Bradshaw, the less his legacy mattered. Same thing happened with Unitas. Same thing happened with even the guys even long before that. Sammy Baugh, and Otto Graham. These guys were legends. These guys were insane, okay, how good they were. And about the 70s and 80s, no one cared. And then it was all about Marino and Elway and to a certain extent Joe. Bam, nice play. And then those took a back seat. And then when Tom and Peyton and all them, they came along, Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers, they kind of, people forgot about the guys from the 80s, you know, except for the guys the fans who were before. But the new fans didn't care. And we're experiencing that now. So Joe Montana is now like 2 generations previous. So they don't even think of Montana as relevant. Even they would even dismiss his Super Bowl victories. It's recency bias is a hell of a thing, man. Problem for Mahomes is that one of his Super Bowls, in my opinion, was never settled, never finished, never ended. But unfortunately, history says otherwise. Well, Jackson comes back and has the Ravens beating up on the Dolphins. That's good. That's what you got to do. You got to come out and take care of the teams that you can beat. Are the Ravens really a 2-5 team? No. They're about to be a 3-5 team, but they're better than that, and they'll prove that over the course of the rest of the season. So. Yeah, so I want to know how Patrick Mahomes can be greater than Montana. I just don't see how that's what are they looking at exactly? What is the metric that they're using? What is that? So I don't know. And then to go and say that, I mean, a lot of people say he's greater than Brady. How? How in the world can you say something so idiotic? You know, it's incredible. Listen, I credit quarterbacks for getting to the Super Bowl. Okay, you get credit for that, for getting your team to the Super Bowl. If you lose, I still give you credit for getting there, because that means that you are the second, the second best team. You know, technically, you are the next to the last man standing, and in the NFL, that's very hard to do. So it's not something I would just dismiss, right? But to have 2, not 1, but 2 horribly bad, I'm talking embarrassing, like, oh, you know, embarrassingly bad performances in the Super Bowl, to have 2 of those. One is, you could say maybe it's an anomaly. It's weird. It's like, okay, it's not that terrible, right? But 2 is a problem. 2 is a big problem, because it shows something. Again, 1 is an anomaly. 2 is a big problem. When it comes to the Buccaneers Super Bowl, everyone wants to talk about the Bucs defense. Really? Bucks defense, Bucks defense. Okay. Patrick's job is to outscore the opposing quarterback who's trying to score. In this case, the opposing quarterback was Tom Brady. So your job is to outscore Tom Brady. Doesn't matter what your defense is, and doesn't matter what his defense is. History's not going to remember that. Okay? You've got to win. Just like history's not going to remember how the Chiefs beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl. It annoys me, but no one else cares. That's your job. They say, oh, the quarterbacks don't play each other. Yes, they do. They absolutely do. Okay? Your job is to put up the points. The opposing quarterback's job is to outscore you. Not outscore your wide receiver, not outscore your running back, not outscore your defense, outscore you. They are trying to beat you. Mahomes couldn't get in the end zone one time. Not one time. Guys, we are not talking about the 2000 Ravens defense here. We're talking about the Bucks, who Aaron Rodgers ran the score up on at the end of the game. Remember that? Now, granted that they didn't get much help from Tom throwing the ball deep every time, which is absolutely ridiculous. But you couldn't get in the end zone once? Not one time. You couldn't even run the ball in. Like, you could not do it. Interesting. Don't tell me, oh, it's because they were behind. Well, I seem to remember the Patriots running a ball into the end zone when they were behind against the Falcons. That's embarrassing, dude. That's bad. To have it happen a second time, and don't give me the, oh, against the Eagles, they scored at the end. That game may have ended like 40-something to 21, I think, or something like that. That thing, how long in that game was it a bigger blowout than the Bucks was? For how long? Right? By the end, the Eagles didn't give a crap. That's just stat padding right there. That doesn't matter. I'm not saying you have to keep throwing the ball. You have to keep scoring. But in the grand, it doesn't help his case. Too little, too late, right? You can't point to it and say, oh, he had not that bad of a performance. He threw some touchdowns. Dude, he was awful. In fact, he might have been worse in the Eagles Super Bowl, even though he scored, even though they got to the end zone at the end. He may have been worse in that Eagles Super Bowl. It's tough. That Eagles game was embarrassing, dude. It was bad. It was much. At least in the Bucks, you're getting outscored by the GOAT, okay? But I'm not, and I'm not trying to take away from the Eagles, but getting beaten by the GOAT is not. Like I said, he could have got away with that blowout. He could have been like, okay, that's one. But twice. That's rough. That's rough, man. One is okay. Two is bad. Two is rough. And that's always going to follow you if you want to be called the GOAT, if you want to be called the greatest of all time. And it's going to be used against you when you are being compared to guys like Joe Montana. Okay? Hell, Peyton Manning only has one blowout like that. And people still, if he had two, if they had gotten completely smoked out like that by the Saints, man, that would be rough. Yeah. A lot of these guys, Israel, they all have one. You know, they have one blowout that really people are like, okay, whatever, you know. But if you're wanting me to compare you to Montana, if you want me to compare you to Brady, sorry, man, you can't have two of those. You can't completely be utter garbage twice. No, especially in this era. Okay, I understand you not being able to get into the end zone if it's 1985 or 1973. Okay, at least it makes some sense. Okay, fine. You not getting in the end zone in this era, and you're supposed to be, you want to make them the GOAT? You want to make them the second best of all time? You want to make them the third best? No, sorry. That's important. So, yeah, Elway, he did score a touchdown in that game, didn't he? That's something, right? But again, nobody's putting Elway over Montana or Brady. So see, that's what I'm saying. When you're trying to put someone against these guys, everything is going to come after you. Everything is going to be used against you, and we're going to have to look at all of it. You want to put Mahomes against Brady? Good luck. Guess why? 2, not 1, but 2 rings that Tom had taken off of the Chiefs' fingers, taken off Mahomes' fingers, presuming that they would have beaten the Rams in 2018. You never know; they might not have. It would, you know, the Rams actually beat the Chiefs in that crazy blowout during the regular season. But if you think that the Chiefs would have beaten the Rams in 2018, then that's 2 rings that Tom Brady took off Mahomes' finger. And you want to put him up against Brady? Really? When 2 of Brady's rings was at your expense. That's no. And he did that as an old man. So while other guys were retired by then, they're in the retirement home, Brady was taking out the new generation. And you want me to compare him to them? Mahomes would have to obliterate Tom's record. Okay? And he's not even going to come close. We all love stats. We all love regular season, achievements and stats. But what do we really care about? We care about Super Bowls, and we care about your performance in the Super Bowl. Did you lead your team? Did you get the job done? So when it comes down to comparing these guys, it's everything comes out. Let me ask you this. Is it premature, or do you think that we need a Montana versus Mahomes or Brady versus Mahomes, even though that one is going to be kind of ridiculous? But is it needed just to shut these guys up? Or do you guys think it's not worth dignifying it with a response, basically? I've wondered about this the last few weeks, actually. I've been like, do we need that? Do we? Just wondering, Probably not the Brady versus Mahomes, but that would just be ridiculous. But yeah, anybody who says that is just utterly stupid, and you can't take them seriously anyway. But the Montana, I think people kind of need to be checked for, it's just weird. So Mahomes versus Montana. I couldn't do a Montana versus Brady video until Brady already had what, 5? And Mahomes is supposed to get the privilege of being compared to Joe when he's not even got 4 yet. I just, it's a funny world, man. It's funny. Like I said in that documentary, all these guys have good stats. They all have bulk stats. They all have excellence. They all have MVPs. They all blah, 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 blah. Okay? What is the defining factor at that level? It's the details. It's Super Bowl rings, but it's also what you did in the game. It's who you played. It's all, we have to really, really, just get really, really specific and down to it. We have to compare, the era you're in. And I did all that. But this recency bias is unreal. Help of courage, yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe not if Montana wins the argument. So all right. Well, this game sucks. So I'm turning it off. But Steve Weiser, what's up, man? How you doing? Tharn says Mahomes versus Starr, Mahomes versus Graham, Mahomes versus Sid Luckman. God, there's so many quarterbacks that have a lot of rings, dude. It's just weird how people are thinking about this, because let's see. Well, so Terry Bradshaw has 4, and people act like he ain't anything, that he ain't crap. Let me tell you something. Terry Bradshaw played in the most difficult time to play quarterback. No, it wasn't the 50s. It wasn't the 60s. It wasn't the 80s. It was the 70s. The 70s had these strange particular rules, and mixed with the fact that defenses have caught up. So they were getting destroyed by the passing game in the 60s and 50s, especially in the AFL. And in the 70s, the defenses caught up. And not only did they catch up, but they were being allowed to do some really rough, messed up shit. Okay? That was not an easy time to play quarterback. That's why you go look at those guys' stats, and they're bad. A lot of interceptions, a lot of fumbles. Just, it was not easy. That is one decade that I would not want to play quarterback in, just because you're just not getting things done. It's so hard. And because of how famous the Steelers are and the Steel Curtain, that defense, Terry Bradshaw doesn't get any respect. He's got 4. He's got an MVP. And the reason I bring up that MVP is not because just one MVP, okay, big deal. That MVP shows that he wasn't just along for the ride. Okay? He mattered. We're not talking about Trent Dilfer on the Ravens. Okay, that's not what is happening here. I would understand if Terry Bradshaw was somehow just mediocre every year and then still has 4 rings. But no, this guy showed that he was a good quarterback in his own right. So people forget that, and people crap on him. I'm not saying Bradshaw's in like the top 5 or anything. I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. I think that people often lose track of a lot of this stuff. So people disrespect Troy Aikman too. Although Troy, he never got an MVP. He got a Super Bowl MVP, but he never got a regular season MVP. But they disrespect Troy too. It's not easy to win in the NFL, man. Yeah, Phil Williamson says NFL championships are not Super Bowls. No, they're not. That's true. So they're not. I wouldn't say they're equal. I wouldn't say they're even in value, and it's because Super Bowls was the unification of all the styles, all the both AFL, NFL, but it was also when the sport of football, the actual game itself, kind of came into. We had a pretty good blueprint for what it is now, and it's when everything kind of come together, and you started getting really good athletes in. So before the Super Bowl era, if you were a great athlete, let's say you were one of the best athletes in America, you usually went to baseball or something that paid well, more high profile. But after going into the Super Bowl era, and when that started, going, then football kind of became, the thing. So I agree that the Super Bowl era, and it's more games, by the way. So you got that. What we would call it today is winning your conference, so NFC Championship, AFC Championship. That would have been the Super Bowl before the Super Bowl era, so. But it took a while. It took a while for the NFL to kind of really get all the kinks worked out, and we really started to see what we know as football today. So there are always elements of it, but you guys you understand what I mean, right? Like how I'm saying it all can't come together as one. So. On Rumble chat, Izzy says you should do a Favre versus Rodgers video when Rodgers retires. That's an interesting one. That's a really good one. But yeah, you're right. When Rodgers retires, because if he somehow gets a ring, another one, then that will end it. But that would do it. But damn, Aaron can't even get back to a Super Bowl. That's weird. So. The 2000s is the best decade in NFL history. It's my favorite. Yeah, it's my favorite. So, Bart Starr, yeah. Bart Starr has 2 Super Bowls, but he's got more championships than that, though. Like, total. Where do I rank Terry Bradshaw? Well, I could answer that, but then I'd have to kill you. So, but you'll have an answer to that very soon. Yeah, darn, exactly. Aikman wasn't great in the regular season, but was money in the playoffs, and you got to give him credit for that, So, AFL didn't exist until 1960. Yep. Yep, they were in the league for 9, 10 years, something like that. It's funny when I'm doing the formula for the greatest quarterbacks of all time. You have to mark AFL, NFL. You have to, and then so it's just the NFL, and then until a certain time period. Of course, you had those strange other leagues that kind of came and went, but you go from straight to the NFL, and then the AFL era comes, and you've got to separate them and know what's what. It's weird. So I'm just so glad they merged, right? It's good. So yeah, the first few Super Bowls weren't even a league title. It was the battle of the leagues. Whose league was better? It's very, very strange. So Emmitt Smith is not. Never mind. We're not going to get into this. Elva Courage says Cat Allen Sports. Yeah, we could. Why not, right? Okay. All right, guys. I'm getting wore out here. It's we've been going for 2 hours and 20 minutes. So nothing left of that game anyway. So like if it was a good game, we'd keep it going, but I'm going to get off here. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate seeing you. I'll see y'all Sunday night, okay? So same thing. We'll get started 5:30, maybe a few minutes early just in case. So, all right. Thank you, Steve. Thank you. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you. Let's see. Is there anything else? Thinking. No, we'll talk soon. So, awesome. Have a good night, guys.
VonAllen Sports.
This is Patriots linebacker, Super Bowl 49 champ, Darius Fleming, and you're watching VonAllen Sports. Real and honest NFL analysis. Subscribe now. Join the empire. VonAllen Sports, let's go!
VonAllen Sports. VonAllen Sports.
This is the man with the most badass name in sports, the Pharaoh, the Egyptian god himself, Amon-Ra St. Brown. And on behalf of my man VonAllen, we want to thank you for your support. Let's fucking go.
VonAllen Sports.